An object in motion tends to stay in motion. An object at rest tends to stay at rest. In physics, this is what we call momentum. But this applies to people and teams as well. When we talk about momentum with people and teams, I think we often forget that second part, that an object at rest tends to stay at rest. But certainly one of the most common places that a team can have a lot of momentum is in the act of not really moving. I'm not going to talk too much about changing the momentum of individual people. There are self-help and motivational channels that probably can do that to a much better degree than I can. But for a team, if you have a team stuck with that very low momentum of not moving very fast, how do you start the process of getting them moving? To change something's momentum, you need to apply a force. So you need to start pushing on that team. But teams are not spherical cows. They are not perfect theoretical objects. They're made up of people, of parts. If you push too hard, if you apply too much force, then the team can start to break apart. So if you're dealing with a team that is stuck in those early stages of the project where they haven't found their footing, where they haven't started moving at a consistent pace, what you need to do is get them to start moving at all, and then use that movement to start to build up more and more momentum in the team to get them rolling along. Teams can get very comfortable doing whatever they've been doing, hence momentum. So a team that has been stuck for whatever reason can get kind of comfortable being stuck. So get them doing something so you get some momentum building up. It may be not exactly in the right direction, but take whatever the path of least resistance is just to get the team moving at all. One analogy to use for a team is, imagine you have a net full of balls, but the net isn't very strong. So if you have this net and it's filled with balls of different sizes and you just smash into it trying to get that moving, what's going to happen? Well, some of the smaller balls might pop out through the holes in the net. The net might rip apart, scattering people all over the place. But it's unlikely you're going to actually get this collection to move forward with a single strong application of force. Instead, what you want to do is apply less force over a longer period of time, and if you can, apply it over a larger surface area of this collection, of this net. Now, what does that mean? Well, applying it over a longer period of time is simply increasing your number of touch points with the team, increasing the ways that you're interacting with the team. Applying it over a larger area of the net means two things. First of all, more touch points, so you're interacting with smaller groups within the team in addition to the entire team. But also, if you can, you want secondary sources of force. Make it so that you're not the only voice applying force. Bring in more leaders. Bring in people who can evangelize the direction you're trying to go, so that you have a bunch of sources of force in addition to your own. Now, you are going to have to be aware that anytime you have multiple people pushing, you're not going to always be pushing perfectly in the same direction. But even if you're mostly in the same direction, it's going to pretty much work, and it's going to give you faster acceleration than you would get if you're just a single source of force punching into this bag full of spheres. Once you have a team moving, now you need to worry about the vector of that. You need to pay attention to the direction that they're actually moving, because obviously you have a destination in mind, and if they are 30 degrees off target, you need to turn them. And again, to change momentum, you need to apply a force. So you need to start the process of pushing them towards the actual direction you want them moving. This is one of the places where I've seen an over application of force or too sharp of a force causing big problems. Because what you want to do, because the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, is you're here and you want to be here, is you just want to take the team that's going this way and just go and have them go straight towards the new target. But if you do that, what will often happen if you apply that great of a turning force is that the team is probably just going to smash through and keep going the way they were already going. They're going to not turn or not turn enough to aim at that new target. You're going to need to apply a lot of little forces to get the team to curve towards the target. So you are respecting the momentum they already have, but still getting them where you need to go. This is one of the great frustrations of team leadership, especially large team leadership, is getting this big team to turn takes a lot of effort over a long period of time. You can't just come in, gather everyone together, have a team meeting, tell everyone that you're going in a different direction, even do it incredibly forcefully, tell everyone you're going in a different direction, or they're all fired, and expect the team to turn instantaneously. Teams can't do that. In most cases, people can't do that either, but teams certainly can't do that. At best, you're going to turn a few of the people who are now going to aim in the direction where you're headed, and everyone else is going to keep going in the original direction. At worst, the entire team is going to sort of smear over the entire difference between where they were and where you want them to be, and the team is now pointed in 1,000 different directions as each person picked up a different amount of the force you just applied. So what you need to do is apply less force but over a longer period of time so that you can over time keep the team moving, respect the momentum they already have, but still get them where you need them to be. It can be incredibly frustrating because while you're doing this, you're continuing to move away potentially from your final target. So you are going to end up covering more distance than would be theoretically possible if you could just turn them in place whenever you wanted to. Going back to our analogy, once the team is moving, this net full of different size spheres isn't a static thing. It's kind of undulating and pulsing and changing as each individual sphere has a slightly different vector, a slightly different speed, and the net is kind of drawing them back together. As a leader, one of the easiest places for you to apply force is to that net, to the team as a structure. So if you want to try to turn a team, the obvious thing to do is to reach out, grab the net, and pull it in the direction you want it to go. And that will work in applying a large force to the team. But each individual sphere inside that net is moving slightly differently, and the net itself is very fragile. So if you apply too much force only to the team as a structural element, you're just going to rip the net off the team completely. You're going to apply a whole bunch of force in the process of doing that, but then the net is gone. You're going to lose the thing that was holding the team together. That common sense of vision, that common sense of direction, because you've torn it away by trying to move too fast. So you have this tool, and if you grab the net, if you grab the team structure and very gently start to pull it in a new direction, the team will very slowly be able to pivot. But usually you're going to want to turn much faster than that. So what else do you have? Well, you have the individual people inside of the team. And each of them is bouncing around, knocking off of other team members, causing them to change around in direction as well. So in addition to applying force at a structural level, at the team as a whole, you ideally want to be applying influence and force down at the individual level so that you can start steering each of them in approximately the same direction. Now, chances are, if your team is of any size, you don't have the bandwidth to do that. So you're going to need, again, to look for additional sources of force, additional ways for you to move the team at a smaller, more micro level than you might have the ability to do on your 200-person team. And that means bringing in more people. That means empowering other members of the team to help steer and apply force along with you. These might be lower level leads. This might be simply people who understand your vision very clearly and can be evangelists. If there's a reason why you absolutely need to turn them in place, then you might have to drag the team's velocity down to 0, pivot them in place, and then start them moving again. The one thing that's relatively easy to do if you don't care about the consequences is to make a team stop. You have lots of external tools that allow you to bring a team to a standstill. You can lock down the build. You can move people on to other projects. You can send them on vacation. You can do lots of different things that will drain the momentum out of a team. Now, very rarely is this what you want to do. You have a team that's running, that's making progress, that's doing something. If at all possible, you really would like to take that momentum and apply it on something else. Now, you're in the process of shipping and you need the project to stop on that finish line, or roll over the finish line at least, not blast through it at 1,000 miles an hour. If you do that, you're not going to end up with a stable build. So how do you respect the momentum that a team already has while acknowledging that you need that project to coast into the finish line? In a perfect world, you would take most of that team that's running and firing on all cylinders and apply them to something where what they're already doing is still applicable. So if you are making a live service, get them working on content for the live service. If you are going to do DLC, take most of the team, move them onto DLC. That momentum they already have is going to be pretty well lined up with that stuff that you're going to put them on. But that's not always going to be possible. You may not be planning to do DLC. You may not be a live service. In that case, you may have no choice but to take a bunch of people and essentially drain their momentum away. If you are not a multi-project studio, you may just need to sideline people for a time as you get the project ready to ship. The things to remember are, being stopped is a form of momentum. A stopped team requires force to get working. Momentum has a direction, so a team with a lot of momentum isn't guaranteed to be moving in the right direction. And momentum has a value, so even when the momentum of a team isn't quite in the right direction, isn't immediately useful, you want to try to find ways to divert that momentum onto something where it is useful, even while doing what you need to do for the project. A special thanks to my members. They provide the resources that this channel needs to keep running. If you're interested in becoming a member, there's a link to that down in the description. We also have a Patreon if you're more comfortable supporting the channel in that way. Both patrons and channel members get early access to videos, so you would have seen this video before it is coming out now. Most of my career has been leading very large teams, working with teams that have a lot of mass, which means it's very difficult to shift their momentum around. My own personal momentum historically has been largely driven by riding the currents and tides of the teams that I'm leading. Since I've left BioWare, that hasn't been the case, and now I have to deal with momentum on a much more personal level. Currently, I find myself in a very low momentum state. Anytime the kids are off of school, it basically sucks all of my work-related momentum right down to 0. And then I have to basically build it back up from a standing start each time. This time it's been particularly difficult, I suspect in part because we are filming this on the day that Anthem is coming down, and I think that's probably just serving as an extra bit of friction in the whole machine. But anytime your momentum drops down to 0, you are going to have to spend a lot of energy to build it back up again. So look for ways, if at all possible, in your own life, in your leadership life, to not waste the momentum that a team already has. I will see you again soon. Thank you.